Hello guys, today I'm doing a requested video, but I hope that this is going to be helpful to a lot of people. This is for anyone that has a really long product description, right? And it's pushing the rest of the page down. And people need to, really scroll to kind of see more information about the product. It's even worse if your description is up above your buttons, and then people don't actually see your add to cart buttons and your quantity field and stuff like that, right? So you may want to somehow contain this entire description inside something like a collapsible row, an accordion, a toggle drop down, whatever you want to call this kind of interface. You click it and it opens up your description, but when it's closed, it doesn't take up space. I'll also show you a couple of different options. For example, if you want a little bit of preview text, so if you want like a short description here, right, and then you want a read more with the rest of your description, then I'll show you how to do that as well. And I actually think that this is a much nicer solution than simply this. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not talking about just using the collapsible row blocks, because this is very limited. Obviously, you can't put, like, this wasn't intended for a lot of text, and in this all you can do is like bold and italic. I am actually talking about the main product description, about this field, and wrapping the output in a collapsible row like this, or actually splitting it. So as you can see, this first sentence from here is the first sentence here, and then the rest of it starts from laudem altera, and this is laudem altera here. So actually splitting it here in between these paragraphs so that it outputs in two different places. Showing you how to do all of that. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, but you are going to be able to set this collapsible description as enabled or disabled on a per product basis. So if some products have short descriptions and you don't want the collapsible accordion at all, then this will be false by default actually. And to turn it on, you will have to click true, right? And this is using Metafields. So if you're interested in one of the features of Shopify 2.0, which is Metafields, and this will also be a small introduction to using a metafield in a real life scenario. I'm going to be using Dawn, right? You'll be able to follow this tutorial exactly if you're using Dawn or if you're using any of the free Shopify 2.0 themes, right? Like Dawn, Craft, Crave, Sense, all of these, they have the same code, they have the same settings. If you're using a different theme from a different company, not from Shopify, then I think you're still going to be able to use this tutorial and kind of apply the same concepts to another theme. It might be a bit more difficult, but many of these collapsible rows are built in similar ways. And what we're actually going to be doing in this tutorial is copying the code that does these collapsible row blocks and simply wrapping it around our product description. And I think you're going to be able to do the same thing on almost any theme if it has these collapsible rows. You'll be able to use the code from your theme, copy this code, and wrap it around the product description. Oh, and lastly, you'll be able to grab all the code, if you are using Dawn especially, from my website, ed.codes, go to tutorials, you'll find this tutorial called hiding a long description, and there will be all the code snippets with the various versions that I will be explaining in this tutorial. But obviously you still need to watch the tutorial, otherwise you won't know what to copy from here, right? So watch the tutorial first or just code along with me. The first thing that we want to do is set up our work environment a little bit so that it's nice and comfortable for us to work with. Okay, so open up the product page, then open up the customizer so that we can also make changes to the theme settings. Inside the customizer, you want to navigate to the product that you're working with. This can be a real product or it can be a test product. Whatever it is, it should be, something with a long description like this. So we're going to be working inside here. We're going to be making changes on the product page itself. And also we're going to be working inside the theme code. You want to click edit code and open that up in a new tab as well. And you should see this kind of interface. And the main file that we're going to be working with today is called main product.liquid. If it doesn't render at first, just hit refresh And you want to scroll down until you see a bunch of whens. Okay, so when price, when description. This is what we're going to be working with today. Everything under this when description, and we're not going to touch the rest of the file. So I recommend making a little bit of spacing just so that it's really nice and easy to see what we're working on. We're not going to touch these ifs either. This just says that if the description is not blank, then we're going to output something. Obviously, if it is blank, then we don't want to output anything if you haven't actually filled out your product description. All right, so now that we've nicely separated our code and we can see what we're working with today, the first thing that I want to do is actually create an if statement that says that if our metafield is set to true, then we're going to output different code from the default code. If it's set to false, then we're just going to use this same default code. So that's why I want to do this right away, just so that we don't even change anything here. All we're going to do is wrap this in an if statement. So it's going to look a lot like this. You can even just copy and paste that above here. An if statement always has an else, right? So we're going to write that like else. And then it always has an end if. Now see how it's in line with kind of its parent? Well, we want to be paying attention to indentation. In HTML or in Liquid, we can always see what's going on based on the indentation and like what's inside what. So I'm just going to highlight all of this, and we're going to use Command, or on Windows Control, and the curly brace, square brace symbol to move this wherever I want, right? So curly brace to the right, it's going to indent this. I'm going to be doing this all throughout this tutorial, so get used to doing this. And now finally, I'm going to copy this HTML and put it inside the else, because yeah, we're going to be changing this first one here. And so we want to change this if statement, because it's currently the same as this. We want to change this to say if product.metafields, right? I'll show you how to set up a metafield, don't worry. But if product.metafields, and we'll call it something like collapsible description, right, is set to true, then we're going to output something completely different here. Okay, something completely different. We're going to be outputting our accordion code, our collapsible row code. Else, if it's not set to true, then it's just a normal product description, and that's why we've put this here, our default product description. So now let's actually set up this metafield, and this isn't quite correct because I was just explaining it in a simple manner. So let's set it up and I'll show you how to finish up with this. I already have the metafield here, but that's just because I've already set it up inside settings. So you're going to go to settings and then to metafields, and you need to actually set up this metafield. I'm just going to delete mine for now. So you're going to add a definition, and you're going to call it collapsible description or something that makes sense to you. And here's the namespace and key. And this is just kind of like a name. This is like a category, and then this is the name of the actual metafield. So the category, I usually use the word info for something that means like anything that's going to be inside this product information block. That just makes sense to me. But yeah, info.collapsible_description is what I'm calling my metafield. And you're going to make it a true or false, a boolean. So that's it. You're going to hit save. And now when you go to your product, you should see this metafield appear at the bottom here. And you're going to set it to be true, and you're going to save. And now if you've done exactly what I've done here, you might notice that haven't put the namespace in, and that's just because I was like explaining it in a simple way. But let's just add .info here, .collapsible description is true, so that's the exact metafield. And by the way, if you don't know why it's like this, you can copy and paste the exact wording from here, and we're going to hit save. So if you've done exactly this, you should see nothing at all actually for this product that you're testing for, right? Or 2 slashes actually. You should see 2 slashes for the product that we're testing on, but for other products, you should still see the description as normal, right? All right, so I hope you're still with me. I understand that might have been a bit confusing, just getting started right away with Metafields, but that was actually probably the most confusing part, because the next part, we're just going to be able to copy and paste code from these drop downs that already exist in our theme, okay? So we're going to find the code relating to these drop downs here, and I'm just going to tell you what that is, okay? This is right here, when collapsible tab. It's awesome that it's right here. We don't even need to scroll to be able to see and compare code. Let me show you what this code looks like. Our entire drop down, our entire accordion actually, our entire accordion is inside this div called product accordion, and then there's this details HTML tag, and then there's this summary, right? And it looks like there's a summary and there's accordion content, right? So the summary means like this heading, and then the accordion content is what opens up when you open the accordion, right? Right now it's empty, I haven't filled these out, but you get the idea. We have this div containing everything, we have details containing everything, and then we have summary and accordion content. We're going to do exactly the same thing, and we're just going to change what content is output in each of those sections. So let's copy the entire thing, everything inside of this when collapsible tab up until the when quantity selector, which relates to the quantity selector obviously. We're going to copy that, and instead of our 2 slashes here, we're going to paste that in. The formatting might have been messed up a little bit. You want to just pay attention to this, okay? This div and this last div should line up. So once again, the command or control and the curly braces will help you to line that up, and you can see what is inside what, and it really helps readability of your code, right? So what do we have here? We have a div with some classes. Now we want to keep these classes, because if you're unfamiliar with classes, this is what your CSS is tied to. Okay, your CSS is your style sheet. It's different files inside of here that actually, well, this would be the CSS that relates to the accordion, okay? My editor just messed up a little bit. I had to refresh, but this would be the CSS that relates to the accordion, right? It's all split up into these separate little files, and we tie into that by using classes. This would mean that we get the same kind of styling as these other things, okay? So we want to keep all those classes, because the styles, like these borders and stuff, for example, the borders are on the class of accordion, right? These are the styles that relate to that, and so we want to keep that accordion class. That's how it works. I'm not going to go too much into that, but we're going to keep all of this. We're going to keep this block ID, section ID. Doesn't get in our way really. We don't really need it, but it's not in our way either. And then we have this summary, and then we have this div with the accordion content. So let's get started with the easiest thing. The accordion content, obviously for us, is the product description. So we're just going to copy and paste into our new accordion content, okay? Now the next thing that we're looking at is this summary, which is like the heading of everything, right? Materials, and it's got this icon. So it's got an icon, it's got heading text, and it's got another icon, right? So let's try to see what that is like. So here we have the summary title, and here we can see render icon accordion, right? And then we see a heading 2, right? Heading 2 with the class of accordion title and a class of h4, meaning that it's just being styled like a h4, like a slightly smaller heading. And inside that, this is the content. So we're going to replace this. We don't want it to say materials or whatever it is set in the block for those collapsible tabs. We just want to set some basic text for that, which we're going to be, editing here. So I'm just going to use description for now. And then lastly, we have this icon caret. The caret is this little triangle thing, And I think we want to keep that because that's what makes it obvious that it's a clickable accordion. And regarding this icon, you know, this is also dynamic. It's set through the theme settings. You can choose what icon you want from this list of icons. And, you know, I don't think we really want any of these, like perfume, plain, leather. I think the only one that's going to be applicable maybe is clipboard. Okay, so if you want, you can use the clipboard icon for the description. And if you want to do that, you can do this. You're going to replace block.settings.icon, this part, with clipboard, right? And, you know, you can do the same. If you find any other one that you want, you can do the same for any of these. Just lowercase them, and instead of a space, you're going to put a dash. If you want to know exactly what they look like, open up a file called iconaccordion.liquid, and here you will find the actual names of them. So, sorry, it's not a dash, it's actually an underscore. So you're going to use chat underscore bubble, for example, if you want a chat bubble. I'm just using clipboard. So icon clipboard, if you don't want anything, then you can just delete it. I'll show you what that looks like in a second, but first let's save and see what we've done so far. So we have the description, we have the clipboard, the text description, and inside we have our product description. Great. So it's working, right? Like I said, if you want to remove that clipboard icon, you can just delete this, hit save, and you will just have the text, right? And that might make sense, I think, if especially if you're using this somewhere else. Remember that you can totally move these around wherever you want. You might want it under the price, right? Like so. So cool, that's working, and we barely needed to change anything. So just a quick reminder is that we copied and pasted the collapsible tab code. We copied and pasted all of this, and then we just changed the text that was in the H2. We changed, you know, what's in the actual accordion content. We put in our product.description, and then we changed the icon to whatever we wanted, whatever word we wanted from the file icon accordion, or we completely deleted this line with the rendering of the icon. Okay, so we have our description here, and it's inside this toggle, so you might be satisfied already. But I think that it's a lot nicer if we can have kind of at least a few words, like at least a short description that catches people's attention. I'm going to show you how to actually split a product description. Let's say that I want this first line to show above the accordion, and then I want the rest of it to be inside the accordion. How are we going to actually do that? Well, we're going to work with filters. Filters are like ways to change what you are outputting. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that for you. Here's our product description, and we use a filter by using this pipe symbol, which is on like the backslash key, right? Shift and backslash does this pipe, and then, you know, you can change this output. So you can write uppercase, and that would take the product description and then uppercase it. So it outputs the entire thing in uppercase, and it goes like from left to right. So you can chain them on. So like I can go after this and I can write reverse like that, and that would actually reverse all the text from the product description after it was uppercased. So it goes that, then that, then that, right? So that's how filters work. We have a filter that is called split, right? And it can split on any kind of symbol. So for example, if you wanted to split a set of words, for example, separated by spaces, you can split on a space. If you had like a shopping list or something separated by commas, then you can split on a comma. And it splits that output into different kind of like items, and it removes whatever it's splitting on. The point is, we can put in some kind of word or phrase, and this filter will detect that. It will detect that phrase in the product description, and then it will split the product description into two parts based on where that word is. So what I'm going to do is go back to my product description, and I'm going to switch to HTML mode because I want to put in a HTML comment. If you're not familiar with comments, it's kind of like just a way for developers to leave notes in code, and everything that is in a comment is ignored by the computer, right? So this is like just for human eyes. And you know, it's completely ignored. It's not output anywhere. It's just when you're looking at the code, you can see it. So that's actually a good way to also do tricks like this, right? Because it's not output anywhere. It's like an easy way to add something into your code that can then trigger something. So I'm gonna write split here. And this won't be output at all. It's completely safe to do. So we have this phrase split, and then here, you know, we can split on this phrase, and we're gonna have two parts. And I actually want the last part, right? So I want this second part to be inside of the accordion content. So we can use another filter called last, and we're gonna hit save. And what I expect is that everything after this will be output, but this will not be output at all. Let's take a look. There we go. So now our text starts with lodum altera, right? Which is like what this part starts with, lodum altera, and this part would be the first part of our split, right? So if we wanted to output the first part, we would do this first, right? Let's undo that. Let's copy that entire line, and let's go up here, right under our if. We're gonna make a div that looks a lot like our product description. So let's basically copy this. Actually, let's copy this. Let's paste it in here. Fix up the indentation a little bit, and now let's copy this, our split description, and instead of the last part, we actually want the first part. So let's hit save, and what I expect now, what we've done is we've added another div called product description, right, using the class of our default product description. And basically this class just has some margins around it, just some spacing. That's the only reason that I even did this. The only reason I added this div is for spacing. And then we're splitting our product description and getting the first part, which would be this part. Okay, let's refresh. And there we go, it works, first try. We have the first line, and then we have this lodum altera as before. And obviously now calling it description doesn't really make sense. You want to call it read more, right? Something like that. So that's about it. We're almost done, but we have one more issue that is caused by this, and that is if you forget to add this split tag, then it will have nothing to split on, and you will actually get the entire description twice, right? So both the product description first and the product description last will have the entire product description, which you don't want. So we need to create some kind of like fallback for that situation. And what we're gonna do is pretty straightforward. Again, we can just copy and paste. We're going to grab this, like everything from inside our main metafield if statement, like everything we've done basically here. We're gonna copy this, and now you're just gonna hit undo a few times so that you go back to like what we had before with just the description. You're gonna undo this so that there's nothing here. Let's save and check that it's gone back to what it was before. Okay, so now that works fine without the split tag, and we still have copied what we did for the read more, and we're going to paste that on top here and just separate it once again with an if statement. You can copy this if statement, you can paste it here, indent it properly, and the condition is going to be if product.description contains this text, right? Contains split, then we want to output this code that does the split, that does the read more, right? That does the first and the last. And then again, inline, we're gonna write else. Okay, so else meaning like if the product description does not contain that split word, then we're going to output the code with just the basic description accordion. Okay, and let's indent this as well so that it's like inside of this else, so that it's obvious. And then don't forget, of course, we need to end the if. So end if, like that. Okay, so just so that's more visible, you can minimize these divs, right? So you can see our logic a bit. If the Metafield collapsible description is true, then we're going to show some kind of collapsible description. If not, we're going to show the default fully expanded description. Okay, so that's that. If, else, and end if. And then inside this, if we are showing a collapsible description, we have another if statement that says, if it contains split, if the product description contains split, then we want to split it into like a read more type of collapsible accordion. Otherwise, we want to just make it a single basic collapsible accordion. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. We're going to save. For now, it's still going to be like this because we haven't added our split tag back in. But as soon as we add our split tag and hit save, go back to the page and refresh, and it should go back to the read more style. You might need to refresh a few times because after you make changes here in Shopify, it's not immediately processed. So it takes maybe like 30 seconds. Don't panic if it doesn't work straight away. Don't go changing your code. Let's refresh again. And there you go. Now you can enable this without fear for, most of your products with long descriptions. And even if you forget to add a split tag, it will fall back to having like a basic description. And of course, if you set this to false for all other products with short descriptions, then it will still be a fully expanded description. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it wasn't too long, but I think it's actually quite important for you to understand what's going on. And also I realized that a lot of you are quite interested in learning Shopify coding, in learning theme development. And so I went into a bit more detail in this tutorial than I would normally. You might be interested to know that this video was requested by a member from my Shopify coding coaching group, which is something that I want to quickly talk to you about. So the coaching group is something that I launched just a couple of weeks ago. It's brand new, but basically it's intended to be like a small group of Shopify entrepreneurs like yourself who like to customize their own Shopify store. It's in the format of a group chat on Discord, right, which is a popular chat app. And I'm planning to keep it quite small. I think I'll cap it to maybe like 20 or 30 members at the maximum. And the point of the group is that it allows me to kind of be your mentor, to be your guide to all the technical parts of having a Shopify store. And the small group size allows me to know each of your stores quite well and to give you good advice for your specific situation. So you can ask me if something is doable. You can ask me something for a technical solution for something, and I'll either explain it to you if it's something small, or I'll make a video like this one, or if it's something big and complex, I'll tell you that you need to hire a developer and I'll explain maybe how much that would cost. So there are other benefits as well. I'm hoping that you also gain value from talking to each other as fellow store owners, and you'll also get a discount on my development services, and you'll get a discount on my course. So yeah, if you're interested in my membership, then you can go to buymeacoffee.com/edcodes. This is like a donations platform, but if you click on the membership tab, then you'll see information about my group coaching. So I hope to see you there. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say today. If you're on Dawn theme and you want more coding tutorials like this one, leave a comment and check out my playlist on Dawn theme tutorials. I have a whole playlist specifically for that theme. And also you might find my playlist on Shopify 2.0 interesting as well. There's another big Shopify 2.0 video coming up soon. So make sure you hit the notification bell icon so that you don't miss that. That's all guys, good luck, and I'll see you next time.